My name is Lela Meadow-Conner. I am a creative producer and impact curator and the founder of Mama Film. I grew up watching movies, loving movies, going to Blockbuster every weekend. And I was the kid that would watch all the credits and be like, what's a best boy? What's a grip? What are all these things, you know? And I just always loved film, but I didn't really know that that's what I wanted to do. I had planned to go to university in Vermont for 4 years, but decided I'd take a year off and go to LA, and I never went back to Vermont. And I started working in the industry, and I just went to school out there and got an internship and started working with this talent manager. But it was through this talent manager where the direction of my life really changed, because it's where I met my friend Tim. And Tim was from Wichita, and he was the founder of the Tallgrass Film Festival. And so Tim in late 2002 decided to move back to Wichita to start Tallgrass. And he said, do you want to come produce this festival? And I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Hopped in my Prius, drove out here late summer of 2003, and that's how I got to Kansas. And that's really how I got into the business of independent film making, independent film exhibition. I felt really part of a community here in a way that I hadn't felt in other places, in bigger cities. There was a desire for this kind of filmmaking, programming here that people take for granted in other places. So I had an idea for a screening series, organization. I wasn't really sure what it was going to be. There's so many ways in which both fiction and documentary films can incite conversation and can incite dialogue in a way that's completely different than just, reading a book or reading an article or having a conversation. It sort of allows us to open up. It allows us to feel part of it in some way. There's some sort of transference of self. I saw this movie, I think it's called A Kid Like Jake, and it stars Claire Danes and the guy from The Big Bang Theory, I can't remember his name. But it's really about these two parents who are having odds with each other over whether their 5-year-old kid is trans. And I was just like, this is the kind of film that I want to take and watch with other parents, with other people, and have a conversation about. And so I thought, I'm gonna try to do this. And so I came up with the name, Mama Film, just because I thought that sounds fitting for this kind of conversation. I was able to raise some money, started the organization as a nonprofit, and we had the space for 6 months. And during that 6 months, our plan was to show 2 films a month. And we ended up showing more than 30 films during that time, because we didn't have an art house cinema here. And we didn't have an independent place, place to go see independent movies on the reg. Now, did it remain just mothers? No, but also I wanted it to be inclusive, and I think that's a motherly trait, is to want people to feel included. Also during that time, an opportunity came to me to work on a feature documentary film, actually with a filmmaker that I had met here at Tallgrass. That film, Chasing Amy, is a feature-length documentary that premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2023, played at 76 film festivals around the world, and was just released theatrically in 80 cities across the country. What I really love is supporting filmmakers, and I want to support filmmakers who are, early, mid-stage career filmmakers, but who have stories to tell that fall under the mission of Mama Film, which, really started out as, let's have conversations about nurturing and motherhood, and based on the way the world is around us right now. I think my definition of what, a Mama Film screening, film, whatever we do, is really more just about caring for others, caring for the world around us, caring for what happens to humanity. I just wrapped up producing a podcast called Green Tide Rising. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, but it's also accompanied by a short form video series, and we did a bilingual series. It's about the women of the Green Wave movement in Latin America who, in the face of adversity, made huge incremental changes in reproductive rights and abortion policies in that part of the world. I'm also working on producing a feature film that is an experimental documentary about the intersection of disability and horror film. I also produced a really lovely short film called Cow Heavy and Floral, And it's about the journey of motherhood and postpartum depression and the ways in which, you know, being a mother intersects with being an artist. And I think this is probably the most mama film project that I've worked on. And it came from the writer-director's own experiences, and it's relatable to so many people, and we're really excited about that being on the festival circuit, and we're offering it to organizations to watch it, and we have a toolkit so folks can have conversation about it, because it really is, again, like, goes to the mission of what I want to do, is using film as a tool for both activism but also conversation and connection. I think my biggest challenge working in independent film throughout my career, whether it's in film exhibition or filmmaking, is funding. And there is not a lot of funding for film exhibition. There is more funding for filmmaking, but how do you get people to see your movies? You know, making them is one thing, but getting them out there into the world is another. And so, you know, I'll start with the filmmaking part of it. We really rely on grants as independent filmmakers, sometimes philanthropy, but you know, you cannot count on those things. And so I think this goes for all artists across the board, is that there's just not enough money to support the work that we want to do. And I look at other countries like Canada and especially across Europe with film. You know, there's so much more funding and support for the arts, because traditionally film is not considered, you know, one of the legacy arts. When people think about funding arts, they're thinking about the symphony or the ballet, and when you think about film, you're thinking about going to the multiplex and seeing a big budget movie, and that's a whole different world. It's wonderful to make a piece of art, film, whatever it is, but if nobody sees it, unless you're making it truly for yourself, if nobody sees it, how do you make any impact in the world with your work? When I first came here, you know, I'd never been to Kansas, and I was surprised by the art and the culture and the vibrancy, and I'm kind of embarrassed about that now, to have felt that surprise. When you grow up in a different part of the country where you have more opportunity, you take it for granted and you don't think about it. And moving here really showed me the opportunities that were available. I don't think I could have ever started Mama Film as a pop-up microcinema in a shipping container anywhere else. I think that there are opportunities that are afforded to us here to be creative, to be scrappy, and to just get things done, and to find our community. And I'm really grateful for that.